Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham, and yes, it is a Monday. If you're wondering why we're live, we did put up a community post that did just tweet it out. Our new live schedule here on the channel. Live every game day, 1 hour before kickoff, all the way through the game and a post-game show. Live every Monday. We want to go live the Monday after games. If they play on Monday Night Football, then we'll just be live anyway for the game. And live every Thursday through the football season. 3 live streams a week. You guys in? Type Y for yes, type in for now. No, should be a lot of fun. No more Tuesday streams for now unless there's breaking news. We're moving that stream to Monday, but we're adding Thursday. Should be a fun season, doing big things here at Bears Now. All right, guys, shout out your city. Let us know where you're watching from. Some yeses coming in. Donald says yes. Jamie, David, busy. Chris. Okay, good. Should be fun. Should be fun. I know a lot of you guys are used to Tuesdays, but I think doing Mondays will be even more fun day after the game. Kind of absorb everything that happened, take a deeper dive, and come live and talk to all of you. We got Busy in Waterbury, Connecticut, Vegas, baby. Marty K in the chat. He's always hanging out. Gam in Chicago. We got Chaz in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Seattle is where Jeremy's watching. We got Jesse in Chicago. William in Columbus. Ryan in Reno. Someone says, hell yeah. Deserves to be second QB. Yeah, talking about the live poll. Yeah, go vote on that. Bagent or PJ Walker. Toledo is where Donald is watching. My boss, who is going to get the Bears tattoo on his shoulder. Yes, I still get DMs. We are doing it. Believe me, we're not hiding from it. He went to Toledo, so stay tuned for that. Jacob says Arlington Heights. We got Daryl in Santa Barbara, Scotia, New York from Jason. Michael Keith in Chicago. We got Oliver in Vegas. Chaz saying FGB, Brian in Pittsburgh. Let's see. Michael in Marengo, Illinois. San Francisco from Gene. What's up, L2 Cloud? What's up, Liz? Appreciate you guys joining us here on today's show. Okay, should the starters play against the Bills in the final preseason game? Starters basically did not play the other night. Tyreek Stevenson, who's expected to start, did, but he was pretty much the only one. I mean, even rookie Darnell Wright didn't start, which, to be frank, I think is probably a mistake. I would put him out there, but that's neither here nor there. Do you think the starters should play in this final preseason game? Y for yes and for no. Chaz, Wasim, Michael, Bear Down from H-Town all saying yes. Eric says yes. Heidi, Busy Womack, Oliver, Donald, Jeff, Mike. Mike actually saying no. Jeff saying no as well. Those other folks saying yes. Da Bear says yes. Speed Talk says yes. Yes, at least a drive or two. Yeah, I would like to see, we'll just, people in the Justin Fields category. So, like, high-level starters that you really would be concerned if they got hurt. A quarter, you know, I don't know if I need to see a full half. Like, 2-3 drives, if you get a touchdown drive in there, and, you know, not just a screen that goes for 60, because as exciting as those are, you'd like to see some, you know, intermediate throws and kind of work in some different plays in the playbook. Obviously, if you get those 50-plus yarders in the regular season on dump-offs, you're going to take them. But you'd like to get some other type of reps. So quarter, 3-4 drives maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Chris says yes as well. I think it's overwhelming yes, and I would agree with that. I think that is something I would like to see. Something I also like to see is more money in my bank account. And the Rocket Money app is helping me do just that. And the simplest way they are helping me lower my spending on a month-to-month basis is by canceling unnecessary subscriptions. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels any unwanted subscriptions that you may have, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Most people think they're spending $80 per month on subscriptions, when in reality, the number is closer to $200. When you've signed up for so many things, streaming services, maybe you're subscribed to some different sports newspapers, outlets, whatever the case may be, all of a sudden that adds up. You might even forget about some of these services. What Rocket Money does is it will list all of your streaming services on one screen right there for you, and it'll have a cancel button. If you decide you don't want to use it anymore, click cancel. They will cancel for you. Lots of other benefits to this app, like setting budgets. You can also negotiate to lower some of your bills, like utilities, insurance, homeowners, whatever. Take a picture, send it to Rocket Money. They'll try and find better deals out there for you. It's a great, great app, and Listen, things are expensive these days. Every dollar counts. Download the Rocket Money today. That link is right there. We'll put it in the live chat for you guys as well. RocketMoney.com/BearsNow. It is RocketMoney.com/BearsNow. Click and download the app today. Let's talk about Tevin Jenkins a little more. We broke down the news last night from my crib. This morning we had more follow-up and took a look at some free agent options and internal options. What's your concern level with the Teven Jenkins injury? And you can just factor in kind of his injury history here. Doesn't it have to be at least like a 7 or 8? Like, I'll go 8. You know, this injury in itself, just a 6-week injury, isn't like something to panic over, isolated. But when you factor in the amount of games he's already missed through 2 seasons, it heightens the importance, right? It elevates the importance. I'm gonna go 8, man. I just worry about Jenkins, both short and long term. Wasim says 7. Bear Down from H-Town says 8. Donald Lear says 6. Wasim says 7. Jason says 6. Chaz Mitchell says trade him. Interesting. What would you get for him? That's the thing. He's a good player. You got him in the 2nd round. Would you get a 3rd? When he plays like a day 2 caliber pick, but I don't know. Tricky one. 10 for Oliver.
I lean 4th. If they were to trade him, I think they'd probably get a 4th.
Because teams would be intrigued with his talent, because he is a 2nd-round caliber talent, I would say. But, like, if you're the Bears right now, let's say he plays 12, 13 games again and plays well. He's going into the final year of his contract next year. I mean, I don't think you can extend him. Like,
no, I think it's too risky.
I think you probably just have to play the next 2 years out. And, you know, he might just be a guy that has to sign 1-year deals in the NFL. Like, I don't know if any team is going to be able to give him long-term deals. He's got back and neck problems. He's had other injuries. For an offensive lineman this young in his career, like, those things don't improve typically for the 300-pounder. So it's a tough one. I hope
it's not ideal, man.
Because he's very talented. We'll see what happens. We'll also see what happens at quarterback. Who is QB2? If it's based purely on what this training camp and preseason has been, there's no doubt Tyson Bagent's been better. I would type TB, PJ for PJ Walker. Now, there's other factors. You gave PJ Walker $2 million in guaranteed money for this year. He's been in the league. He's got the DJ Moore connection. So, like, as a backup, there is different things he brings. Even if we all concede that Bagent's the better player, there are other things that Walker brings to the table that you could determine he's worth keeping. But I'll say this, Rolly, and you can hop on screen for this discussion. You cannot, even if you're in the camp of keeping PJ Walker, which I'm actually fine if you do, but that just means you're carrying 3 quarterbacks. Like, you cannot let Tyson Bagent go. Like, you will lose him if you cut him. He will not get to your practice squad.
I absolutely agree. There is no doubt in my mind, Harrison, that if Bagent ends up on August 29th, cutdown day, and people see that he did not make the 53-man roster, a team that might not be ready to compete, a la maybe the Arizona Cardinals.
I was going to say, if you're Arizona, why would you not take a shot?
Exactly. They could pick him up. Like, a team that doesn't have a good quarterback situation. Tampa Bay. Like, these teams could easily claim Bagent because he has flashed some big-time potential in the first 2 preseason games for Chicago. And listen, I'm all aboard the Bagent hype train. Harrison knows this. I'd take him over PJ Walker.
I'll throw another team at you, like the Chargers right now. Obviously established starter in Justin Herbert, but Easton Stick and Max Duggan are competing for the backup job. I love my boy Max Duggan, but he's got flaws. Like you might take a shot on Bagent. Like, you might be like, okay.
I watched the entire Saints-Chargers game.
Horrible.
Stick played the entire game. He stunk.
I think what they're doing is Stick got this whole game, and they're going to give Duggan the whole next game, which I actually kind of like that strategy for a backup QB competition, give him a whole game. But, yeah, I mean, you think of a team like that, like, say Duggan stinks it up next week. They might pick up a guy like Bagent and be like, he's got good arm talent. We don't need him to play right now. We have Justin Herbert.
I will say this. It is tough for me to justify the Bears keeping 3 quarterbacks because it's like a team that doesn't have the best depth of their places, so it's like I'd rather keep players at the D-line. I'd rather keep them at the safety.
In a perfect world where the Bears are right now, you wouldn't want them to keep 3.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there's no denying Bagent's talent, I guess you could say, and what he's done in the preseason, man. Like, I think you got to hold on to him. And does that mean getting rid of P.J. Walker? Sure. Let's not forget, like, P.J. Walker, sure, he was like an all-right backup in Carolina.
Guy was in the XFL 3 years ago.
Dude was in the XFL for a reason. Like, he's not that good.
Yeah, like, look, on paper, the signing made sense. You traded for a receiver he's very familiar with. He's a dual-threat type of guy behind Justin. Like, that all made sense. But, like, at some point, it's like, if you're playing this bad, like, you can't ignore what you're seeing. Like, again, I'm okay with carrying 3. I don't love it because I'm with Rolly. Like, you'd rather have an extra position player somewhere. But, like, you can't get rid of Bagent. Like, that is not an option, in my opinion. And, look, I don't think I'm overreacting. Like, the Bears have kind of not done this for years. Like, I think most NFL teams should have an established starter, a vet backup, and a young player you're trying to develop.
Let me throw something at you here. So obviously we know the Bears have Nathan Peterman as well. What with the new NFL rule where you can have a third quarterback not on the 53-man roster. He's on the practice squad.
He has to be on the 53 to be dressed. That's the thing.
He has to be on the 53?
But he doesn't count against the active game day roster.
Oh, so okay. So he has to be on the 53.
So that's another reason why I think Bagent will get poached, because more teams are going to carry 3 this year with that rule.
Where I was getting at with that was like, what if instead of P.J. Walker being kept, they end up keeping Peterman as that emergency QB? So if they felt like Bagent isn't ready, Fields ended up getting hurt, Peterman could be the quarterback.
Yeah, but he'd have to be on the 53. That's the thing. So, I mean, I know Walker's been bad, but, like, if it's him or Peterman, I'm still picking Walker.
Yeah.
Especially since you don't save money this year by cutting Walker.
Couldn't you be on the practice squad to get put on the 53?
You can up to 3 times, I think.
Okay.
So, like, you could start with Peterman and have him elevated the first 3 weeks while Bagent is still kind of like, acclimating to NFL life. But I do understand, like, the hesitation of, like, okay, Bagent's clearly outplayed Walker, but he's still an undrafted rookie. Like, do you want that as your only other quarterback on game day?
Who went to a D2 school.
It's a little risky. Like, which is why, like, yeah, it may not be ideal, but I think carrying 3 is an okay option. Like, if that's the compromise, like, I just think that's what you may have to do. All right, we did get a couple super chats. Sangray, I knew where you were going with this because you've been on the anti-Fields train since day one. He says the poll should say who should be QB1, Bagent or Fields. Bagent's going to be out busting by the end of the season. Hey, look, if Fields has a bad year and somehow Bagent takes over and balls out, like, I just want whoever can win this team games. I don't think that's Bagent right now, but I think there's something there worth developing. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean,
think of Brock Purdy's a great example, right? Like, I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be a high-level starter in this league, but he's at least going to be around for a while. Like, if you've run into something like that here with Bagent, like, that's great.
Purdy has done good things, obviously, early on. But if you look at just pure talent, I would argue Bagent's got more talent, man.
He could sling it, dude. He really can. Keem78, we appreciate all the super chats. We'll get them all on the show here. Another hot take, last one before the season. Bears stay healthy enough all season to avenge the past 3 decades. Bears 34, Jets 24, and Super Bowl 58. Get the Bear Downs going for Keem.
I'll say this, Harrison.
It's bold.
Beating Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl
would be historic.
Would be the greatest comeback story since Kim Kardashian.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
The real
Parks and Rec.
The real ones know. Marty K with the 5. At the end of the day, you would be more comfortable with a vet like PJ starting a game because of experience. That's kind of my point. Like, if Justin Fields has a 3-week injury, are you just, like, starting in week 3 or 4? Are you just ready to put Bagent in there? Like, that's a fair question to ask. Like, based on how they've each played, yes, Bagent has looked better, but the regular season is a totally different deal.
I think it depends, like, the situation, right? Like, say this injury happens in week 7 and he's missing weeks 8 through 11, and the Bears are 2-5 through 7 weeks when that injury happens.
Oh, if they're out of it, I'd much rather play Bagent.
Right?
But if it's like a 3-week stretch and you're 500 and you're trying to stay in the hunt, I think you're giving Walker the first look.
I think you're probably right, but
selfishly, I'd rather watch Bagent play. I think he's more interesting.
P.J. Walker stinks. I've seen enough.
He's been bad, man. Like,
I've seen enough.
I'll put it this way. If he plays really bad again, against Buffalo, it's like, I'm not even sticking up for the guy. I'm more of just, my mindset's more of just like, am I just ready for Bagent to be the only backup? Like, that's like, I think even you guys can acknowledge there's risk there. Like, how many undrafted rookie quarterbacks are the solo backup on a team? Like, it doesn't happen very often. I will say this. You know who Bagent kind of reminds me of, just to kind of go with the undrafted QB thing? Not Kurt Warner. He's got a little Romo in him, though.
Oh.
He's a little mobile. He's got that 3-quarter release. Like, they have a similar release.
I thought, so I won't say play style, but just, let me flash his face again. You know who his face looks like? He looks like Mike Glennon.
That is not what Bears fans want to hear.
But, like, he's got a little bit of a long neck there. You can see the neck. It's long.
He does.
And the facial features.
Somewhat Zozo. Okay, relax.
Listen, I'm not saying he plays like him. But I'm just saying body from chest up looks like Mike Glennon.
I'll tell you right now, if I had to win a game tomorrow, I'm starting Bagent all day over Glennon. Glennon stinks. Wasim. Bagent looks great, but Walker's been brutal. That's what makes it tough. It's like, not only has Bagent looked pretty good, here's the thing too, like, as good as Bagent has looked, I think Walker being bad has made him look better than he probably actually has looked. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, man. That first Bagent drive, he took him
17-play drive.
He took him like 95 yards. He looked so good. He was throwing some tight windows over the middle of the field, and with a nice
he had the little head bop, like he was feeling himself a little bit.
He had the swagger to him too.
I know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Like the video if you love the Bears. If you want Tyson Bagent to make the 53. I'll tell you this, Rolly. If the most Bears thing ever, I don't think with this new regime, but just in general, would be, oh yeah, let's try and get Tyson Bagent to the practice squad. He gets poached and like becomes something somewhere else. Like that would be like last 20 years Bears if that were to happen. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hit the like button. We got to cross at least 125.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got 330 people tuning in. Appreciate you guys all watching today, but 75 likes is just disappointing. We're going to need 50 more before we can start this video.
Yeah. If you want Bagent to make the team, like the video.
I'm also sad that we talked about this being a possibility before we went live. Sam Laktara not being ready for our hypothetical.
I might have to message him our new schedule. It's a tough one.
That's sad.
It's a tough one. We'll get used to it. The audience will get used to it. That's a Bulls thing. Yeah, that is that'd be a Bulls thing too. That's like Max Strus going to the Heat and becoming a real player.
Listen, Max Strus went to a couple spots before being a Heatle. It's on Boston too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. J-Nev says, like the MF video. Yeah, 7 likes away. 7 likes away. Don Burr, I know you've liked the video. Bagent is making this team. I agree. I think he will. I'm just saying, like, even if you're in the camp of P.J. Walker is the backup still, you can't lose Bagent. There's just no way. All right, we just crossed 125 likes. Here's what's coming up on today's show. Bears cut candidates. Throughout the show, we'll take some questions. We're not going to do like a straight 15-minute Q&A, but we'll do like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. There's also some news that came in today. Oh, Laktara. We'll get to him real quick here. There he is. I mentioned the cut candidate. It's kind of a new look at some players that could be on the chopping block. And then I want to take a deeper dive into Tyson Bagent. Who is this guy? How has he come from Division II Shepherd to potentially making the Bears roster? All of that coming up here on the show. But real quick, Sam Laktara, he's back.
No hypothetical, just strictly ball talk. Hey, all business today for Sam.
It's a overreaction Monday, baby. I love it. He says if Bagent is starting over Fields for any reason, that means the Bears likely aren't a playoff team. No risk in a higher draft pick. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll put it this way. If it's and I'm going to get crucified for this. If one of two scenarios. One, if the Bears are playing really poorly and Fields were to get hurt. Or two, if it's early in the season and it's a season-long ending injury, I'm absolutely playing Bagent just to see what happens. And, hey, if you get a top 3 pick, then awesome. That works out too. But, look, in a perfect world, none of this really matters because Fields starts, plays all 17, and plays well. But, look, backup quarterback's important. Chicago should know that. With Josh McCown, Kyle Orton, they've had guys over the years. So Hopefully they keep Tyson Bagent around. All right, busy show coming up on deck here. Let's dive in. With 2 NFL preseason games in the books, we have some new Bears cut candidates that have emerged. Which players are in danger of getting cut? Roster cutdown day coming up quickly. My name is Harrison Graham. You're watching Bears Now by Chat Sports. Before we dive into some of these cut candidates, help a brother out. We're almost at 6,000 followers on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days. Give me a follow for daily Bears news and updates and everything else in between. Tweeting about the Bears in real time when things happen. So help us out. Give me a follow at HGramNFL. Let's get to 6,000 by the end of the week. All right, tough decisions are coming for Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, as there's no doubt they're going to have to make tougher decisions this year. Ryan Poles acknowledged as much recently, saying, yeah, like roster cutdown day is always tough, but it's going to be tougher this year because they've added more talent. This is a team that has increased expectations. Even if they're not Super Bowl aspirations, they're definitely more than what they were last year. Obviously, final real opportunity for a lot of players in the bubble is this Saturday against the Buffalo Bills. And then a couple days later, Tuesday, August 29th, is NFL roster cutdown day, where there's going to be a lot of movement around the National Football League. So let's get to some new Bears cut candidates. And again, these are candidates. Doesn't mean they're going to get cut, but some guys who maybe weren't on your radar starting training camp of guys that could get cut. Got to talk about P.J. Walker, right? Like, P.J. Walker has not played like a guy that is a high-level backup quarterback in this league. He just hasn't. Like, I liked the signing at the time. They gave him a 2-year commitment, although the second year only has a little money guarantee. We'll take a look at the financials at another time. But at the end of the day, Tyson Bagent has clearly outplayed P.J. Walker. And let me be clear. I think Walker will make the team. Like, if you force me to sit here and say right now, do I think he makes it or do I think he gets cut? I think he makes it. But if you had to keep just one, if you were the Bears, I don't see how you could justify keeping P.J. Walker over Tyson Bagent. I mean, look at the numbers. 5 of 12 for Walker, 13 of 15 for Bagent. 25 yards for Walker, 113 for Bagent. No touchdowns for Walker, 1 for Bagent. It was a rushing, but still. Interception for Walker, no interceptions for Bagent. 6 drives each, and one of those quote-unquote drives for Tyson Bagent was a kneel down in the preseason opener. So really, he's only had 5. You can't cut Tyson Bagent. So basically the option you have, in my opinion, is you either carry 3 quarterbacks with Fields, Walker, and Bagent, or you take the risk and you go with just Bagent as your backup. If you try to get him through waivers and get him back to the practice squad, I think you're going to get burned. I just don't think you can make that decision if you are Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. You finally have a young, developmental backup type of guy worth keeping around in Tyson Bagent. Kudos to the Bears for finding him. Don't screw it up by cutting him, because with the new QB rule where teams are more incentivized to carry 3 quarterbacks, some team will claim him. The Cardinals, the Texans, somebody. And if you're the Bears, you just can't let that happen. So who you keeping? You keeping Tyson Bagent, you keeping P.J. Walker, or you keeping both? Type TB if it's Bagent, type PJ if it's P.J. Walker, type B if it's both. I think keeping both is most likely because Walker still has value as a vet. He's played with DJ Moore, etc. But the answer can't be PJ here. It's either TB or B for Bagent or both. How about Equanimeous St. Brown? And he was always kind of on my radar coming into this camp just because the Bears made such an effort to improve the wide receiver unit, but he was still kind of viewed as a safe option. Like with Claypool out, he's been working as kind of that number 3 receiver a decent amount. So you're like, okay, like he's not going to get cut, is he? Well, in the 2 games, he's done nothing at all. 2 targets, no catches, 1 drop. Help P.J. Walker out, by the way. I mean, P.J. Walker, one of the few really good processing decisions he's made in camp is he identified a blitz and read the hot, which was St. Brown, and he just dropped it. Like, that just cannot happen. And I don't know. It's just like you really think about what St. Brown did last year, which was okay, what he's done in camp, which is you don't hear as much flashes about him, the 2 preseason games. It's just like, what does he actually bring to the table at a high level? Let's break it down into tiers, right? Because I'm going to guess the Bears carry 6 receivers, maybe even 5, but I do think it'll be 6. So, obviously, you got your 3 locks. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool. I'll put Tyler Scott in the safe category. Like, I just don't see a scenario where he doesn't make it. He's a rookie. He's a fourth rounder. He's been nicked up recently, but I think he's 99.9% safe. Velus Jones, I'd put it like 75% right now. It wasn't a great first preseason game, but he bounced back with a great joint practice against the Colts. And not playing Saturday may have actually helped him because St. Brown and Pettis didn't show you much. I've got them in the bubble category, Velus in the likely safe category. And then how about Darius Fountain, who's trending up? I mean, like, could another strong week of practice and game for him have him push out St. Brown for that number 6 spot? Or at least leapfrog Pettis is an option. I don't think they'll carry 7, but back to EQ, outside of blocking, and I will give him credit, he is an excellent blocking wide receiver. What does he actually do? He drops critical passes. We saw that last year against Miami. It's happened here in the preseason. He doesn't have elite speed. He's an average-ish special teams player. Like, Pettis is much better on special teams. Velus, Tyler Scott, they have more special teams potential. Darius Fountain 2 years ago played 75% of Chiefs special team snaps. Like, you can't keep a guy just because he blocks. Like, he's not going to start. So, like, how often is he actually going to play? And when you bring him in, are you signaling to the defense that you're running the football? Like, I don't know. Like, I need more from EQ. I think he probably makes it, but I'm less sure now. I think you're creeping toward that 50-50 scenario for Equinemius St. Brown. What's not a 50-50 scenario is if you download the Rocket Money app, you are going to save money. That is a fact because you can set budgets, you can cancel subscriptions, you can monitor your overall spending, and you'll probably realize you're spending money on stuff that you don't need to anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills all in one place. Most people think that they're spending $80 per month on subscriptions. The reality is it's probably closer to $200 because all these streaming services, they keep raising their prices on you and it adds up. And, you know, you probably have a couple of other like subscriptions like to The Athletic or Apple TV, whatever the case may be. That stacks up very, very quickly. Rocket Money can also negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. Think about it. If you could lower your electric bill and your homeowner's insurance by 20%, how much money could you save? Also, with over 3 million users and counting, Rocket Money customers have saved an average of $720 per year. You go on a vacation with that money. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. It's rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Support our sponsors. Support us and support your pockets because you're going to save money with Rocket Money. It's Rocket Money. Go check them out. Link is in the comments and in the description. rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Let's talk about D'Onta Foreman now. He's kind of in that EQ category of coming into camp, you're like, okay, he's probably safe, but it is a crowded room, right? And, you know, he's still listed as RB2 at least as of this second by the Bears on their depth chart, but he got the opportunity to start the other night with starters sitting. Khalil Herbert didn't play, and he was okay. He had 4 carries for 12 yards, I think, but in the preseason as a whole, he's got 6 carries for 21 yards. That's kind of mid. Like, he hasn't, and 9 of those yards came on 1 carry, so he's got 5 for 12 beyond that. Had a nice physical run the other night where he broke a couple of tackles, and I actually do like Foreman as a player, but in a crowded room and something else that could tie in here that could get interesting as well, I do wonder if Foreman could be in danger here, especially since he's not a great pass protector, whereas Roschon Johnson is a great pass protector, and he's taken advantage of the carries he's gotten. 19 carries, 76 yards. Thought he ran really well the other night. He catches the ball pretty good as well. Think about this, to tie it back to the quarterback discussion, right? If the Bears carry 3 quarterbacks, which at this exact moment in time, I actually think that's the most likely scenario, where they have to trim back somewhere, right? They'll have to scale back, whether it's at corner, running back, receiver, defensive end, like someone's getting squeezed out. The Bears could easily go Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, pick Ebner or Homer for special teams, and then Kari Blasingame is the fullback. You don't need D'Onta Foreman. Like, would I like him on this team? Do I think he'd have some value? Yes, but how much different is he as a runner than like Roschon Johnson, who's on the first year of a 4-year rookie deal? It's something to consider. Again, I'd like to keep Foreman, but if you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks, someone's getting trimmed out somewhere, and it might be at that running back position. Now, who's more likely to be cut? If you think it's Equinemius St. Brown type EQ, if you think it's D'Onta Foreman type DF, I think St. Brown's probably a tick more likely, but they're both kind of in that 50-50 category. I think these are two players that need to show something in the final preseason game. So does Rasheem Green. And Rasheem Green is a tricky one because all reports suggest that he's had a really good camp. But a couple things to consider. One, the defensive end depth chart group depth is getting really crowded, right? Yannick Ngakoue, DeMarcus Walker, we know they're making the team. I don't know for sure if we can sit here and say there's a single lock beyond then, but you got 4 guys competing, right? Dominic Robinson, Travis Gibson, Terrell Lewis, Rasheem Green, even DeAnthony Jones flashed the other night. The point is the edge position is crowded right now, and I don't think you're going to carry 6 edges. Again, especially if you carry 3 quarterbacks. Like, you got to trim back somewhere. I think it's probably 5. And Rasheem Green, who has been a guy that's bounced around a bit, but he's been pretty productive, right? Like 10 sacks combined the last 2 years. He had 4 sacks back in 2019 as well. Like, you know, he's a guy that can give you 4 or 5 sacks. That's why I liked the signing at the time, but someone's getting squeezed out. I don't think it should be Terrell Lewis. He's earned a roster spot. Dominic Robinson's only in the 2nd year of a rookie contract. He also hasn't played great in the games, but he's been good in practice, and he's got 3 more years of cheap roster control. Those things matter in these discussions. I think it's going to be Rasheem Green or Travis Gibson. I think one of those guys gets cut. It easily could be Gibson, but it could also be Green. Maybe it becomes a financial decision. We'll have to wait and see what Ryan Poles does. Got another one here. Dylan Cole, who was signed to be a special teams ace and a quality backup linebacker. He's missed a good amount of camp with an injury, probably a couple of weeks or so now. And, you know, on paper coming into camp, he was like your 4th, 5th linebacker. I'd say 5th probably with Noah Sewell's emergence as a rookie. But you've got Edwards, Edmonds, Sanborn, and Sewell. I don't think any of them are going anywhere. If you're only carrying 5, which that's kind of the sweet spot. Sometimes teams go 6. It could be tricky. If they go 6, I think Cole's likely safe. If it's 5, Micah Baskerville, the UDFA out of LSU, has really stepped up and shown something here. He's played pretty well throughout camp in the preseason. And Mykal Walker, who they signed recently, who was a starter last year for the Falcons, he led you in tackles the other night. So he took advantage of his opportunity while Cole was absent. The tricky one, these 3 guys right here with Cole, Baskerville, and Walker could be competing for one spot. So fascinated to see how it plays out. Availability is important, and Cole's missed some significant time here. Now, name a surprise Bears cut candidate. We just went through 5 for you guys here on the show. If I'm forgetting somebody, let me know. But just to recap, these 5 players, while you get us your name in. P.J. Walker at quarterback. Again, I think he's safe, but we'll see what happens there. Equinemius St. Brown, Deontay Foreman, a couple of vet skill players. Rasheem Green and Dylan Cole. And drum roll, please. Got a bonus candidate for you. Lucas Patrick. With Tevin Jenkins getting injured, I think that might have bailed Patrick out, to be honest with you, who's also been injured quite a bit throughout his Bears tenure, not just recently. But that's a veteran name to monitor. Like, even if he doesn't get cut now, he could get cut later, like when Jenkins comes back. So keep an eye on him. He's been unreliable from a health standpoint since the Bears signed him. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our Bears cut candidates video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like I said, trying to get to 6,000 followers ASAP. It's at HGramNFL. We'll see you soon. All right, what's the live chat saying? We got Lucas Patrick. Green is gone. Maybe he's been good in practice, but it's got to translate to the games. Cut P.J. Walker. You need to keep Patrick as guard and center flexibility. But what if you keep Doug Kramer as a young developmental guard who I thought played pretty well the other night as a starter? You could go that route. You've got Jatari Carter and Alex Leatherwood who can stay on as guards. Just a thought. Leatherwood, he could get cut maybe. Patrick can't stay healthy. He's a cut. That's the thing. It's like, you know, we're frustrated about Tevin Jenkins getting hurt again. He played much more than Lucas Patrick did last year. We're talking about recently. He's been more available. Kramer too small, bro. He's strictly a center. And, yeah, he's undersized for sure. But, like, he could be worth developing as a backup. Like, Lucas Patrick, is he going to be here long term? Are you going to bring him back after this year? Probably not. If you are, it's on a 1-year deal to, like, compete for a starting job, but likely be a backup. So, and Patrick, good point by Assyrian. He struggled at guard last year. He really did. Now, I know he's dealing with a hand injury, but he's a better center than he is at guard. Okay, we'll take a few questions here. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Super Chat to guarantee your spot on the show. How concerned are you about Tevin Jenkins? I think if I had to scale it from 1 to 10, I'd go like 7 or 8. It's concerning, not this injury in and of itself, but the culmination of the injuries he's had. It's always going to be a concern. So I'd say 7.5. It's definitely worrisome. William Brock, Dries Fountain, and Terrell Lewis make it. I think Lewis is as close to a lock as you can get. I just don't see how you leave him off. 3 sacks in 2 games, 2 strip sacks as 2 of those 3 sacks. Like, he's been great in camp. You got to trust the eyes at some point and the production, and I think he's safe. Fountain, he's on my radar now. If he can repeat that performance, go out there, catch 5-6 balls for 75 yards again next week, and EQ is silent, Pettis is silent, got to consider him. He's been on 53-man rosters before. Richie Rich, if Bagent doesn't make this squad, I'll seriously question the coaching evaluations. He's outplaying Walker, and the goal should be to take on the best 53. Look, I agree. Again, it's not, especially in a backup quarterback, it's not purely about who's played better the last 3 weeks, but you can't dump Bagent. You can't. If you want to keep P.J. Walker, I'm fine with that. But that means you're carrying 3 quarterbacks. If you carry 2 and one of them is not Tyson Bagent, that is a huge mistake, in my opinion. Now, maybe you'll get lucky and get him to the practice squad, but I would give that about a 10 to 15% chance. I truly do believe a team would poach Tyson Bagent if he were to get cut. Super chat from Amari. Shout out Amari. You guys crapped on Packers fans for crowning Jordan Love after one drive last year, yet you're doing the same thing with Tyson Bagent. I'm not talking about him at all as a starter. That's the difference. I'm talking about Tyson Bagent as a young developmental arm. That's it. I'm not sitting here saying he should ever be a starter in this league. I am saying he's played better than P.J. Walker and that he should make the 53-man roster. And for the record, I think Jordan Love's had a pretty good preseason here. So we'll see what happens there. But that's apples and oranges. Remember, Amari, the Packers drafted Jordan Love in the first round. Tyson Bagent was undrafted. So you cannot compare those two. Like, that is not even close to the same level of investment. Rom Pandy, hope your family is doing well. Appreciate that, Rom. How do the Bears cap space look for 2024? I'm concerned after Ngakoue. Don't be, because it's a one-year deal. So they're still top 5 in projected cap space next year. I want to say 3rd most right now. It could dip a bit if another extension comes out. Jalen Johnson could get an extension, maybe Darnell Mooney, but they're going to have a lot of cap space still. Rolly?
No, I just was getting ready for this next question.
Okay.
Here.
You answered this one. Favorite fantasy football player?
Yeah, I said Harrison and Roy, do you guys do fantasy football? I can't speak for Harrison, but I am a pretty avid fantasy football player.
My interest has waned a little, but I still have my 1 or 2 leagues I've done for like over 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I usually play in 3 to 4 leagues a year, so I guess you'd consider me pretty in on fantasy football.
I think we're going to do an office league. I'll probably hop in that. That'll probably be my 2nd league this year.
Favorite fantasy player is an interesting question, though, because is it an all-time favorite fantasy player? Is it someone that you're high on this year that nobody else is? Or are you just someone you like for this year? I'll be nice here, and I'll go...
Fields is a great fantasy player.
I'll go 1 through 3 on that situation. My favorite fantasy football player ever, Calvin Johnson. Yeah. He's my favorite wide receiver ever.
Catch a ton of passes, ton of touchdowns.
Anytime
durable.
I could get Calvin Johnson on my team when I was a little wee guy, I would try to. Favorite, I guess, sleeper this year, I am so high on Rashee Rice out of Kansas City.
One.
I know we've talked about it, Harrison, before on the Chiefs report, but dead serious, I think by week 5, week 6, he might be the most targeted wide receiver on that team, and you could get him in like the 10th round. So I think Rashee Rice is a really good player for the Chiefs wide receiver. And then I think my favorite player I just want to have in every league, give me Bijan. Bijan's electric.
Yeah.
If I have the 8th pick in the draft, I'd probably try to get Bijan every time. He's going to get used a shit ton in that Falcons offense.
You know who else is one? Like, if you get this guy, you win at that position every week, basically, is Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I have him
If you can get Kelce, you don't even need to draft a second tight end. You just pick one up that 1 week he's got to buy, because at worst, he's going to catch 5 balls for 50 yards. That's the floor for him.
I I already did my main league with all my college buddies. We already did our draft, and I took Kelsey in the first round. And it's just like, well, I'm going to have the best tight end in the league.
I mean, he's going to catch 100 balls, have over 1,000 yards. I mean, he's had 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He had 12 touchdowns last year. I mean, yeah, he's.
I mean, that might only go up because.
How high has Fields been going in your draft? Like 5th, 6th round? Like,
yeah,
he's going to go pretty high.
He's been going as the
like 4th,
5th quarterback off the board.
Let me guess. Hurts, Mahomes, Allen.
And then it's
Lamar?
It's usually between, you could see it anywhere, but the 4 guys in the mix for QB5 are Herbert, Burrow, Lamar, and then
I think
Fields.
I'd take Fields over all of them.
I'd probably still lean Joe Burrow because if he's healthy, they're just gonna chuck the ball.
It's just like, even if Fields' rushing goes down 300 yards, he's still going to rush for 850.
I think Fields personally would be my QB 6 or 7. Like I'd probably take Burrow and Lamar over him because I think Lamar is going to have a big time bounce back year because he's been hearing a lot of the hate. I think with bringing in Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
I think he's
best weapons he's ever had.
Yeah.
Just like Fields. Welke, if PJ looks bad again, bring in Carson on a league minimum. It's Carson Wentz. Stay tuned. We're actually briefly going to talk about him here in a little bit, but I just don't think I can do Carson Wentz, man. No. I'd rather just keep PJ Walker and Tyson Bagent, I think, to be honest. Marty K, Bears Now Fantasy League buy-in is $50 super chat. First 10 people to send, or first however many people to send in 50. I might be behind
Harrison,
this, Rolly.
I'm in, and if you are in, Harrison, I will take control. I'll be the league commissioner. I'll take care of it all.
Thursday live show, maybe put some. Oh, you're not on that show. Maybe next Monday.
Right.
Next Monday?
Next Monday?
Okay, stay tuned, because preseason's over, too. I hate drafting before the preseason.
So if you tease it on Thursday,
okay,
and then we can tease it on Saturdays, or we can start taking admissions on Saturday, or we just say
first place gets a field boot, second gets a Bears fly. We'd probably do a winners take all. Maybe we could do like a Bears Now trophy or something like that.
Dude, it'd be sick, man.
We'll throw some ideas together, Marty K. I'm kind of in on this, and maybe on our like weekly Thursday shows we can work in like a little fantasy
update.
Little
yeah,
preview.
Okay, I'm
preview
in.
Thursday Night Football fantasy is.
Harrison, I just got sold.
I kind of like this
kind
idea.
of just excited me.
You guys in?
A little bit.
Hey, let's change the poll, Rolly. I'm gonna change it here. Should we do a Bears Now? Here, you read this next super chat. Oh, Alan J is back.
He's back. No. This is what Alan J has to say is if you were in our watch party on Saturday, we had a nice little back and forth with Alan J, but he said Fields won't sniff 600 rushing yards this year with that patchwork O-line, arguably worse than your group from last year. Nate Davis signing already a dud. They literally added the 10th overall pick.
It's not going to be worse than last year. It may not be great, but it will not be worse than last year. And the weapons are undisputably better than last year. So, dude, if he rushes for less than 600, that means one of two things. One, he got injured, or two, he improved so much as a passer that like he didn't need to run that much. And even if he takes a massive leap as a thrower, he's still running for over 600. Like, it's too big of a weapon. Like, he's not going to reduce his rushing in half year over year. I don't see that being the case. But appreciate the super chat, Alan. And remember, $50 bet. If the Bears win more than 4 games, you owe me a $50 super chat at the end of the year.
Before we move on, Harrison, live poll is heavily in yes. Jason,
how big should we go with the league? Like, what's the max? 16?
I think 16 would be brutal.
12? Cap at 12.
I think what us we do, us 2 plus 12, so 14, probably the highest we go.
Yeah.
Because if I assume you guys want Harrison and I to be in it with our own teams.
Maybe what we have to do is like, because more than 10 people or 12 people are going to want in.
Maybe. We can cook in the lab here, Harrison. We can have 2 different leagues. One league has you.
We could do the Harry and Rolly league. What if we did like a head-to-head scenario? Like which league outperforms the other?
Yeah, so here's like the way I can kind of think of it in my mind here is if we have let's think. Let me just change this on screen. God, I'm sick of seeing L and J. If we do a league, see, Marty K's kind of with me here.
Yeah.
So we have two different
Get on
leagues.
screen and get Marty K on for this.
All right. So we have Harrison's
Follow me
league.
on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, we have Harrison's league, and then we have my league. So it's not really going to be any different. It's just two different 10 or 12-man leagues. Harrison's in one, I'm in one.
And every Thursday we just update.
Every Thursday we
going
update,
on.
and we end the fantasy football season 1 week earlier than usual. So, like, usually the fantasy leagues end week 17, the week before the final week.
Oh, and then the winner of each league.
So we end week 16, and the two winners of the league play in week 17 for the overall Bears crown. The winner from my league, the winner from Harrison's league.
I like that.
That way we have 22 people.
I like it.
And then in Harrison and I. And so if it happens to be Harrison and I playing each other in the championship game, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Hey, so be it.
But if it maybe is Marty K versus Sealand, like, then we have the Bears now title. And, like, it would suck, though, because I would have to manually keep track of, like, the rosters and, like, because to do the head-to-head, because you couldn't put them in the same league.
Well, I just think, like, at the you just count the points at the end.
Yeah, no,
right?
I know.
Like, that's not a big deal. We can figure that out.
Yeah, we could fit. I think I'm in on the two different leagues here.
All right, Rolly and I are going to get in the lab after this show, and we're going to map this out. And more information to come on Thursday's live show. And then maybe, dude, what if we drafted live? Can we get everybody ready?
But we have two different drafts, though.
So what? You're talking about your draft. I'm talking about mine.
Just absolute chaos ensues.
I mean,
we've
got that extra week between
Tito's
preseason
in.
week 3 and NFL preseason week 1.
Tito's in. Yeah, we can do it.
Or we could even do like two different drafts. Like we do one of our drafts one day.
Yeah.
And then we do another. Because we'll have, think about, so after this week, maybe next Monday is when we do like if you super chat, you're in the league. That Thursday is the first draft. And then maybe the Monday after that, or the Thursday after, probably Monday, because that next Thursday would be Chiefs-Lions.
Yeah.
That next Monday could be the second draft. Does that make sense?
Hold on. So we got this.
A week from Thursday would be draft 1.
Which would that be week 1, though?
That'd be the Thursday before week 1 of college football. Remember, we got the extra week. We're still 3 weeks away from week 1.
I got to look at a schedule so I can mentally map
We're still
this out.
3 weeks away from week 1.
Okay, so we got the 28th. That's next Monday. Is that a draft?
That's when we do like the
buy-in.
the buy-in.
Okay, and then we have
Thursday draft
the
1,
31st of August,
and
one
then
draft.
September 3rd or whatever
and then September 4th, which is the Monday, Labor Day. If you're in,
if we were to draft
even if
them
though
live.
we could do it the 7th, we could do before Chiefs. We could do before Chiefs.
Yeah,
Lions.
I don't think that's a huge deal.
Also, that is pretty early. That is like if you do draft a Chief or Lion, like that is.
It's not a huge deal though. Like worst case, one game of your one or two players is impacted. And if we're drafting at like 4 o'clock, you got a couple hours to set your line.
That's true. So now that I've seen the calendar, we tease it, we figure out the plan, tease it Thursday.
Ancient says make the buy-in higher. Well, we'll see. I want people to have a chance to buy in because
we do have to figure out the trophy though, or
I think we would
prize.
do some kind of like prize item. I don't think it would be like a winner gets 200, second get, like I think an item would be cooler.
Yeah, and we have to have an individual item. We're basically turning into the NFL where we have 2 conferences. One, Harrison is the
AFC Championship,
and then mine's the NFC, and then we're playing for the Super Bowl in that Week 17 combination.
Okay.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll more
figure
details.
out the buy-in. We'll figure out but I think we're on to something here. Oh, man. Rolly graphics. Here we go. Tito wants in. Well, stay tuned. I'll probably put up a community post as well with more info. So stay tuned. We'll make it happen. Okay. You want to go to our next segment here? We got 2 more segments to come. We got some Bears news, a couple of roster moves that have gone down just a little bit ago. Let me just make sure there's nothing more on my feed here. Rodrigo Blankenship got cut. He stinks. Okay, here we go. Bears news, and then we'll get to a Tyson Bagent segment coming up here in just a moment. So stay tuned for that. It's all coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. We have some Bears news to dive into here as Chicago has made a pair of roster moves here on Monday. Does that mean that the Bears could be signing someone soon? One name in particular really stands out. And then could P.J. Walker get cut? And if so, who are some of the top available quarterbacks that remain unsigned at this point in the offseason? All that and more to dive into here. But let's get to the news of the day first. A couple of roster moves made by Ryan Poles. Adrian Colbert has been placed on IR, and tight end Jared Pinkney was waived with an injury designation. So now you have a couple of roster spots open at this point in time. I do want to talk about Adrian Colbert for a second, though, because he was a fringe roster guy. Like, some Bears reporters had him on the right side of the 53-man roster, while others had him at worst as a practice squad candidate. So now with him on IR, that means he stays with the Bears, but he's out for the entire season. Remember, anyone placed on injured reserve before roster cutdown day cannot play this year unless they later get cut and sign with another team. But you look at the Bears safety depth chart with Colbert out of the mix now. Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, Elijah Hicks, they're going to make this team. I think A.J. Thomas, who I had ahead of Adrian Colbert in terms of my 53-man roster, it's kind of been either Colbert or Thomas, depending on who you ask. I've been higher on Thomas. I think he has better ball skills. I think now he's got the inside track to be safety number 4, but Kendall Williamson may have an outside shot now. If he has a strong week of practice and good preseason game against the Bills, maybe the 7th-round rookie has a chance. Now, I don't think they'll carry 5 safeties. I do think it'll be 4, and I think A.J. Thomas has had a better camp. But now Kendall Williamson, who the Bears at least invested a little bit in as a 7th-round pick, he at least has an outside shot. Now, who do you think gets that final safety spot on the 53? If you think it's A.J. Thomas, type A.J. If you think it's Kendall Williamson, type K.W. I'll lean A.J. Thomas. Had a pick in the first preseason game. Almost had another one on a tip drill in this last game. If he has a strong week, I think he makes the 53. Now, as far as Jared Pinkney goes, he wasn't going to make this team by any means. Steven Carlson's the one guy on the outside looking in that may have a slight chance, but I think Chicago's pretty set at tight end, and quite frankly, I think they've been set at tight end since the day they signed Mercedes Lewis. Cole Kmet's your number 1, Robert Tunyon's your number 2, Lewis is your number 3. I thought Jake Tonjes had a chance to make this team, but he got banged up. They cut him. Chase Allen got cut. Steven Carlson, who got banged up the other day, he's still around, but I think he's probably more of a practice squad candidate. Before we jump to our next news item here on Chicago Bears Now, subscribe to the channel. Our August sub battle with the Raiders Report continues, and it's been a doozy. It's been a back-and-forth ride as the Raiders Report has been our top channel for a while now, and that's why I wanted to challenge you guys, myself, to see if we could beat them in more new subscribers, higher growth this month. They've picked up 1,722 subscribers as we're filming this. We've picked up 1,519. So we're battling. You guys are bringing it. It's been a very, very close race, but can we surpass them by the end of the month? If you want daily content, go ahead and subscribe. Just like our video we put out earlier today. If you want Dalton Risner on the Chicago Bears, we talked about that. We took a look at some other Tevin Jenkins replacements as well, both internal and external. Subscribe for daily content. Speaking of Dalton Risner, I think it is worth mentioning again here, even though we talked about it a few hours ago, that he could be a possibility. Why? Well, Tevin Jenkins is injured, but 2, you now have a couple of roster spots open with Colbert going to IR and Pinkney getting cut, so you're down to 88 players, so you've got room to sign someone if you want. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to sign Dalton Risner. I think if you were going to, it is because of the Teven Jenkins injury, but there is reason to sign him. He is by far the best guard on the open market. He's a starting quality guard in this league. I think he's only given up 10 sacks in his career over 4 seasons. That's pretty impressive. And right now, Jenkins is banged up, so he could plug in as that left guard if you wanted him to. Obviously, Tyree Carter's had a good camp. Leatherwood has as well, so you could just go with one of those options. But there's not really much downside to signing Dalton Risner, right? Like, What's the downside? You're going to have to spend a little bit more money. Well, you still have $14-15 million in cap space. I think you could structure it where you only take on $2 or $3 million in a cap hit, and maybe you give him incentives based on snaps played to up to $5 or $6 million. I don't think that's a huge risk when you have extra cap space. You're still going to be able to roll over $8-10+ million depending on how the rest of the season goes. Now, maybe Ryan Poles doesn't want to spend any more money. I don't know, but I think it makes sense to at least take a look at Risner. Bring him in for a visit. Get the vibe. See what it's like. He visited Minnesota recently. No deal happened. Maybe this is the right opportunity for both parties. BetUS, our sportsbook partner here at Chicago Bears Now, is the place to go to bet on the third preseason game, bet on games during the regular season. Chatsports.com/Bears. Use our promo code BEARDOWN to get a 125% deposit bonus. $100 when you sign up. You'll get an additional $125 for free. And the NFC North odds have shifted, and not in the Bears' favor. Last week, the Packers were at +400, I believe, and the Bears were +350. Now that shifted a bit. Surely the Tevin Jenkins injury hasn't shifted it this much. I'm not sure. But I like +400 to just throw a little tenor down. I'm not saying the Bears are going to win the North, but I am saying it's possible. I think any of the four teams have a chance. And quite frankly, I do think the Packers have the least chance. But we'll see what happens. Chatsports.com/Bears. Promo code BEARDOWN. $10 to win 40 if the Bears win the North. I think that's decent value for you bettors out there. Okay, let's talk about the quarterback. If P.J. Walker plays, your odds plummet to about +25,000 to win this division because it has been ugly. He has struggled throughout Bears training camp and in the 2 preseason games. Could he get cut? I mean, really, could he? Well, here are the financials. So his current cap hit, if he makes the team and you do nothing, is $1.66 million. If you cut him, that actually goes up $500,000. Now, I don't think $500,000 is a big deal. That doesn't drastically impact your current or future cap situation, but technically it is a slightly bigger cap hit. Now his cap hit next year is $2.5 million, and dead cap is $500,000. So I think cutting him after this year, regardless, is a very high probability unless he just turns this around and proves to be a high-level backup. But you can cut him if you want to. I don't think $400,000 or $500,000 is it's actually only $350,000 now that I'm doing better math here. I don't think it's we don't have $350,000 against the dead cap. Sure you do. You got $15 million in cap space. Now, I'm not saying the money not being an issue is the sole reason to cut him. What I am saying is with the way Tyson Bagent has played, he's making this team. Now, on the flip side of that, Bagent is the only backup on the 53. That feels a little bit risky because we've seen a few good drives in the preseason. I love the kid. He plays quick. He processes well, but he's an undrafted rookie. P.J. Walker has played in this league. So if Ryan Poles comes to the decision, or Luke Getsy, whoever, and they're like, we can't keep this guy, it's a disaster. Okay, fine. But keeping Bagent as your only backup, that feels risky. I would have to think that you're at least exploring some other scenario where another quarterback's in the fold. Now, maybe that scenario is Peterman's on the practice squad, and if things go awry, you can elevate him. That could be an option. But I do think keeping Walker and Bagent is a scenario still. In a minute, though, we'll take a look at some free agent quarterbacks just to see if any of those wet your beak, if you will. So what say you? Are you comfortable with only Fields and Bagent on the 53-man? I think Bagent's outperformed Walker. I think he's a better quarterback than Walker. But there are things P.J. Walker provides as a backup that Bagent simply does not. Experience. He's played with DJ Moore, obviously. There are other things that matter here. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I'm cool with Bagent. He needs to be on the 53. Only backup, though, that at least causes hesitation, in my opinion. But if it's him or Walker, it's definitely Bagent. I'll put that out there right now. Now, for those who are out there, Carson Wentz, from a pure playing standpoint, yeah, he's better than P.J. Walker. I don't think there's any doubt, but he still is not very good, and I'm not sure he's a guy I'd want to bring in. In fact, I'll say it right now, I do not want Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan has left the door open to returning. I know he's with CBS Sports right now, but he said for the right situation he would play. I don't think he's a viable option for this team. Chase Daniel, he's been here before. He's been a decent backup in this league if you wanted to bring him in. Joe Flacco, I don't think anyone wants Nick Foles and wants to go down that road again. But, yeah, good options aren't out there. Now, could someone get cut? Marcus Mariota's had a poor camp. I know, we're saying that about P.J. Walker, but is Mariota better than P.J. Walker? Probably, although I don't think Mariota's very good at this point in his career. He certainly isn't if he gets cut because the Eagles gave him $5 million guaranteed. So I don't know. I still feel like the more realistic option is that you keep Walker and Bagent. But if the Bears cut Tyson Bagent and he gets claimed by another team, that is just a flat-out mistake by Ryan Poles. There's no way around it, which is why I don't think it'll happen. I think Bagent will make the 53. The question is it as the third quarterback or as with P.J. Walker as the 2, or as the backup if you're cutting P.J. Walker? All right, that's going to do it for our news and rumors roundup here on Chicago Bears Now. Hit that subscribe button. Let's take down the Raiders report in the month of August. Make it a competition. Challenge yourselves. I would appreciate it. Love all the support we've gotten already. See you soon. Are you comfortable? And Rolly, I want to bring you in on this, and I want to talk a little bit more about it with the audience. Are you guys comfortable with just Bagent as the backup? Like, y'all hear where I'm coming from when I say that? Like, there are reasons for it to be at least a mild concern if he's the only other quarterback in the room.
F it, I'm in. I choose chaos. Because I know this might be an overreaction, and you can come at me if you want, but based off what I have seen through 2 weeks of preseason football,
P.J. Walker looks bad, man. Bagent
is already better than P.J. Walker.
Oh, I've not disputed that.
No,
he is better as a pure quarterback.
That you want an experienced backup if Fields goes down to potentially help you go compete. But at what point do you just use your eyes and say, F the experience, Tyson Bagent is so much better than this dude right now?
See, I'm not even coming at it from a standpoint if Fields goes down. I'm coming at it of like, what about in the scenario he plays all 17? Like, is it more? Is there still enough value for Walker just as a resource? Like a guy who's played with DJ Moore, a guy who on the sideline is seeing things after drives like, hey, like this guy did this guy did, like. Is Bagent going to be able to provide that? Because that's part of being the backup quarterback, is you have to be able to sit over there, look on the tablet, review things, be like, yeah, you missed this, or you did this well. Like, I think those are real questions. Like,
so
that's
I get
part
that
of
concern, Harrison, but that's what the coach is there for me. That's personally.
You got Andrew Chinoco, Luke
Getsy. Not even your OC. Your OC could be involved with that, but your quarterback's coach.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I look around the league, and I'm just a Patriots fan, so I know this right off my hand. Like Mac Jones, he's the same draft class. Who's his backup? Bailey Zappi. They're both entering their third year. They both got, well, at least Mac Jones definitely has.
Zappi's it's only his second year, right?
No, I mean like Mac's third year.
Oh, Mac and Fields.
But like his backup is
was a rookie last year.
Second-year quarterback. So like they're trusting the coaching staff to help Mac out with those type of things. So,
but didn't they keep Hoyer last year when Zappi was a rookie? For his rookie year?
Well, Hoyer was with the Patriots for the first 3 weeks and then got cut.
See, I wonder if like that's a scenario too, where to start the year you carry 3, and then once they get to a point with Bagent where they're like, okay, like you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And let me be clear. Like, I feel like I've been clear, but in case I haven't, I like Bagent better than Walker. Like, I've not said once I like Walker better. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to put my GM cap on and my head coach and my off. Like, do I want my backup quarterback this year with Fields in a crucial year to be an undrafted rookie?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a simple just like, Bagent. Like, I think it's either both or it's just Bagent. But that's what you have to figure out. Like, I think the conversation is, are you carrying all 3 or are you taking the chance and only rolling with Bagent? Like, I don't see the scenario where you cut Bagent and keep Walker. Like, that would be moronic. You can't go that route.
Yeah.
Keep Peterman over PJ too. I mean, I'll say this. If you cut Walker and keep Bagent, I think you're almost certainly keeping Peterman on the practice squad. Because they like him in that role as well, as like just the guy in the QB room, good teammate, leader, he's seen it all. Like, you could go that route. And maybe that is a logical route. Because if you cut P.J. Walker, I do wonder if like some other team signs him. You know what I mean?
I would be willing to bet that another team would definitely sign P.J. Walker. But, like...
Hell, he'd maybe go back to Carolina.
Yeah.
Be their third quarterback.
I mean,
who knows?
They have Andy Dalton, so they have the perfect backup quarterback.
Yeah.
But
true. But secret agent for a team that they have draft compensation that they owe.
That's right, yeah. PJ will pay your entire salary if you just go over there and fuck with Bryce Young's mind.
Oh, shit. Marty K, I get a guaranteed spot. I'll still buy him, though. Yeah, we got to give everybody a fair chance, right? It can't be based on prior commitments, although we do appreciate all those. Keem78, play the starters 1 quarter, then bench for preseason finale. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Like, give me a solid quarter. Like, Fields, 2-3 drives, like, real drives, too. Like, again, you're not upset that Khalil Herbert turned a slip screen into a 50-yard touchdown, but you'd like to see, like, a couple, like, real drives, like, where you're methodically going down the field. So, yeah, I think a quarter, maybe the first drive of the second quarter, something like that, and then you bail in. Here's an interesting thing, too, Rolly, about, like, how long you play Fields, because don't you have to play Bagent and Walker more, too? Like, that's something you're still, figuring out.
So here's my thing. This is what I would do if I was Eberflus, right? I'm going Justin Fields quarter 1, PJ Walker quarter 2, Bagent entire second half.
Yeah, I'm not playing Peterman.
No, fuck Peterman.
Here's another option, though. What if you go Fields quarter 1, Bagent rest of game? And you're just like, PJ, like,
I do think you have to give PJ another chance to flash in game.
You could go like the Malik Willis, Will Levis thing where they basically like did 2 series at a time and just alternated.
I wouldn't hate if they just alternated from the jump.
And you're kind of taking the rhythm away from them, and you're saying who can overcome it, like who can play better. We're not favoring one guy or the other. You're not playing with better players. This guy's not playing. You know what I'm saying?
Like the starters play for the first quarter, and then it is the second and third stringers the rest of the way.
Or at least through the third quarter. Possession. At least through the third quarter. Then maybe the fourth is like, okay, whatever. But
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Don't hate it.
All right. We'll see what happens because it's something they got to figure out, and they got to figure it out quickly. All right, speaking of Tyson Bagent, he's obviously a hot topic right now. We're going to talk about him more here on Chicago Bears Now. His journey to the 53-man roster potentially, that's what we're going to dive into. This is a coldie, right? So just get a little pause and go. All right, here we go. Let's talk about Tyson Bagent. If you want Tyson Bagent to make the Bears 53-man roster like I do, go ahead and like this video. Hit that thumbs up icon. I think he has a hell of a story. We're going to break it down on today's show, and I think when roster cutdown day gets here, he'll make the 53. If you're with me, hit that like button. Who is Tyson Bagent? That is the question we're going to answer here on today's episode of Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys for joining us here on today's show. And we're just going to kind of go through his journey, starting, with him as he grew up, his college recruitment process, NFL draft process, all the way to where he is now, coming off the most important couple of hours of his life and how he performed the other night against the Colts in the second week of the preseason. So let's kind of go in reverse a little bit here. He grew up in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Who here has heard of Martinsburg? You can put your hands down. If you have, kudos to you. But here's a little fun fact about his childhood. His father was an arm wrestling champion, which is just kind of a random nugget that you only can figure out. And Dane Brugler's the beast. Kudos to Dane. We got a couple of quotes from him coming up as well. But grew up there, played obviously in football as a kid, high school football, yada, yada. Then he went into his high school recruitment process, and he was under-recruited. 0 FBS offers, had a couple small D1 FCS offers coming out of high school, but 0 D1 FBS offers coming out of high school. Here's Dane Brugler of The Athletic on this topic. He said, a no-star recruit, Bagent wasn't ranked by the online recruiting services and went vastly under-recruited. He had interest from a few FBS programs like West Virginia and Marshall, but no offers. He received FCS-level offers from Albany and Robert Morris, but neither situation was attractive enough to take him away from Division II Shepherd, a program he grew up around into which he had several family connections. His mother, Casey, grew up in Shepherdstown and graduated from Shepherd in 2002. His father, Travis, played baseball at Shepherd and graduated in 1999, obviously later became and arm wrestling champion. So under-recruited, overlooked, and that story continued after his college career, which we'll get to in a second. But before we get to the next part of Bagent's journey, who is QB2? TB, PJ, Tyson Bagent, PJ Walker. I'm saying Tyson Bagent's QB2. I still think Walker probably makes the 53 as a third quarterback, but let me know what you guys think. TB for Tyson Bagent or PJ for PJ Walker. Before we get to our next step in the journey, if you want to have a smoother journey with your finances, download the Rocket Money app today, because Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills all in one place. With Rocket Money, you can easily cancel the subscriptions you don't want with just the press of a button. No more long hold times or annoying emails with customer service. Click the cancel button, and Rocket Money will do the rest for you. Rocket Money can even negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest, and we'll show you some better deals out there. Rocket Money also helps you monitor your expenses, recommends custom budgets based on your past spending, and they'll even send you notifications when you've reached your spending limits. Just an awesome app, and this is gonna wet your beak, this little nugget as well. With over 3 million users and counting on the Rocket Money app, Rocket Money customers have saved an average of $720 per year. Think about what you can do with $700+ per year. You could go on a vacation. You could take your significant other on multiple nice dates and meals. You can just start a college fund. My son just started daycare. I need every extra dollar I can get. So stop wasting money. Save money with Rocket Money. Use our link right there, rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. It's in the comments, description, live chat of this video. Go check them out today. It's rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Next step is, so he commits to Shepherd, Division II, where his parents went, and just went crazy. I mean, he set crazy records there, but just for a college football quarterback in general, he played in 53 games, which, by the way, stepped on campus, started all 53 games of his college career. Technically 5 years, but one of those years was the COVID year, and they only had one game, so really this was over 4 years. Look at these numbers. I don't care what level you're playing at. 69% completion, just about. Very nice. 17,000 passing yards. One of only 9 college quarterbacks to ever cross 5,000 passing yards in a season, by the way. He did that. Threw for 159 touchdowns. It's about 40 a year over 4 seasons worth. 48 picks, bit of a gunslinger. Also, decent mobility, too. Had 12 rushing touchdowns. We saw him rush for a touchdown the other night for the Bears. A couple of the other records he just set. He is the all-time NCAA leader in touchdown passes with 159. I'm not talking about Division II. I'm talking about D1, D1 FCS, D2, D3, NAIA. He's the record, 159. No one has ever thrown for more touchdowns than Tyson Bagent, and he holds the Division II record with over 1,400 completions. And I think that's part of why he's looked so comfortable, right? Is he's seen a lot of football. He has dropped back in the pocket a lot. Now, I get it. The competition's much lower, but sometimes you get these quarterbacks fresh out of a Power 5 that's only started 1 year, a la Mitch Trubisky, and they don't look comfortable early on. Bagent at least looks comfortable. Now, he doesn't have quite the ability of some of these other guys, but he's played a lot of football. He's very, very experienced, and I think there's something to be said for that. So then he ends up at Shepherd. By the way, little nugget in a second here. He had a chance to transfer to a D1 school, did not. Ends up going undrafted in the 2023 draft. I thought he should have been drafted, to be completely honest. Went to the combine, showed off some things there, but did not go drafted. Dane Brugler with an interesting note here from what I just mentioned, saying after spending a week in the transfer portal after the 2021 season, he turned down multiple FBS offers and returned to Shepherd for his senior year. Another interesting nugget, he had a schedule visit set up with Northwestern. Think about how bad Northwestern QB play has been the last couple of years. This kid might have had them cooking. Like, he might have had them cooking there. I think he was probably concerned that if he transfers. I know one of the schools for a fact was Maryland. Well, Tua's younger brother, Talia, is a pretty good college quarterback. He was probably like, I may not start there. So he went back to Shepherd, had a huge senior season, still went undrafted. I thought he was draftable. There hasn't been a Division II quarterback drafted since, I think, the 90s. So, you do wonder if he plays D1, if he would have been drafted. I think he would have been if he got to play. I think that was the concern, though, that if he transfers somewhere and doesn't get to play, then his football career really might be over at that point in time. We'll get to the final bullet point here in a second, but week 1 is almost here. FGB. FGB. Subscribe, game day watch parties. We're going live 3 days a week now. Game days, Mondays, and Thursdays. Going to be a hell of a season. YouTube.com/Bears Now. We're trying to catch the Raiders report and most new subscribers this month here at Chat Sports. Help us get there. And then, obviously, he signs with the Bears, and now he's competing for a roster spot. In fact, he's about as safe to make the 53, I would think, as you can be. Now, look, if he has a bad week of practice and doesn't play well on Saturday against the Bills, maybe that changes, but I think he's pretty secure at this point. If you're watching live, I see C-Land. We're going to get to you in a second. 13 of 15 in the preseason, 113 yards, rushed for a touchdown, has not turned it over. 6 drives so far, really only 5 because on one of those he took a knee. One play took a knee into the game in preseason week 1. He's looked comfortable. He's looked good. He's looked confident, had a little swagger going. Some of his strengths, I like the quick release and the arm strength. Like, he's got kind of that 3-quarter flick there, and he whips it. Like, he can get it out really quick. He can throw the ball. Now, what I would like to see in the final preseason game is more vertical passing. Like, he was throwing a lot of those quick passing games with RPMs. I want to see him throw a 30, 40-yard bomb downfield. Let's see what that looks like. But he gets the ball out quickly. He can see the field, and he's got enough mobility. He ran a 4.79 at the combine. Like, that's pretty solid for a quarterback. We saw him move around, had that nice throw on the run to Simba Webster. He also obviously ran in that touchdown as well, identified the opening and stepped up and dove into the end zone. So he's got a little something. And give the Bears credit for finding this kid because Ryan Pace, when he took this job, said, I'm going to take a quarterback every year. We always want to be developing someone. Then he never did. He drafted Mitch, but he never had anyone else he was trying to develop. And I think that's a mistake. Like, you think of good franchises over the years. The Patriots, they always drafted a quarterback to develop. Even after Mac Jones won Rookie of the Year, they went out and got Bailey Zappi. And he showed some things last year. They had Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, both those guys ended up becoming good players in this league. Like, you should always be trying to find these guys. Think of Brock Purdy last year, last pick of the draft. I'm not saying this kid's going to be Brock Purdy, but what I am saying is there's guys that get overlooked, and I think the Purdy effect was felt because we saw a lot of QBs drafted on day 3, and Tyson Bagent should have been one of them, but even though he wasn't, the Bears found him, and I think they deserve credit. I think for now, he's still listed as QB3, but if you're asking me, he's the backup. He's better than P.J. Walker. I'm open to keeping both, but you can't cut Bagent. You can't. You cannot keep Tyson Bagent off this 53-man roster. If you try to slip him through the cracks on cutdown day, he's too viral right now. Like, one other team out there will claim him if the Bears cut him. So you just can't go that route. So pick a quarterback scenario. Would you keep both P.J. Walker and Tyson Bagent behind Justin Fields, so carry 3? If so, type 1. If you'd rather cut Walker and keep Bagent, type 2. If you want to cut Bagent and keep Walker, I think that's the worst option, type 3. I think it's got to be 1 or 2. I think 1 might make the most logical sense. Keep a veteran in P.J. Walker, but have Bagent on the 53, keep developing him. That's my prediction of what I think will happen, but if it's one or the other, you got to keep Tyson Bagent. You cannot cut cut Tyson Bagent and keep P.J. Walker. That would be front office malpractice at this point in time, in my opinion. All right, that's going to do it. Hope you guys learned a little bit more about Tyson Bagent on today's show, trying to inform, entertain, and talk about a player who deserves it because he's been overlooked his entire life. He's not being overlooked on this channel. We're talking about Tyson Bagent a lot here, and I can't wait to watch him this Saturday against the Buffalo Bills. Sealand, we've missed you in the 2 watch parties, Sealand.
Sealand!
Where's he been?
Let's go!
He said Tyson needs to be QB2. Fields doesn't need a mentor. Tyson's skill set seems more aligned with Fields than any other QB we have. Sealand, we've missed the booms on game day for you. Hopefully we'll see you this Saturday night. I know the Saturday preseason games, it's preseason, but we hope to see you on game day. But, look, I'm not saying Fields needs a mentor. I'm not even saying P.J. Walker is a mentor. I'm just saying, I could understand if the Bears want to have someone who's played in this league on the 53 active on game day. But, again, I feel like I've made it clear. If it's one or the other, you got to keep Bagent. I don't think there's any question there. 2.0 says, I like Bagent over Walker, Fountain over St. Brown and Pettis. And do you think Lewis could start across from Yannick? I don't think Terrell Lewis is a day 1 starter. I think DeMarcus Walker's that other guy. But I think Lewis makes the team. I think he rotates in a good amount. And Walker is going to kick inside some. Most of his sack production from Tennessee was on the interior. So if it's those third down, obvious passing downs, he'll kick inside, and either Jones or Billings will check out, and that's when Lewis is going to check in a lot. So I think he'll make the team, and I think he'll play quite a bit. Okay, so which scenario are you guys in on most? Is it keeping Walker and Bagent or cut Walker and keep Bagent? I don't think anyone's picking number 3. Larry picked 3. He must be a Lions fan or a Packers fan. Which scenario? Nah. Which scenario? Sealand, you going to be there Saturday? I got the chat pulled up. Let us know. DC Viper says 2. Donald says 2.
A lot of people want to get rid of Walker, which is like, I think I lean, if I had to give what percentage I'm in, I'd go like 60% 2, 35% 1, 5% 3.
Oh, you can't cut Bagent.
5%.
That's a 0% for me.
5%.
I'm giving the audience a chance, but call me crazy. I don't know if I'd go that far. I was going to say cut Bagent, keep Peterman, but you can't cut Bagent.
I kind of floated that idea out there, but it didn't make sense.
I think option 2, by the way, the third part of that is Peterman's on the practice squad.
Because Peterman,
he's a great practice squad quarterback to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's valuable there.
Sealand says he will be in the chat.
All right, Sealand.
Looking forward to the...
All right, Sealand. Rolly and I are ready. You guys have any final questions? Rolly and I are going to sign off, but if you have any super chats you want to float in there, we can stick around for a bit. Otherwise, we'll be live again on Thursday. I think Jack's with me on Thursday. Are you off Thursday this week?
So the reason why I won't be here on Thursday for the Bears Now is that I do run our Atlanta Falcons channel.
Oh, do they play that
their
night?
preseason game, their final preseason game is this Thursday against the Steelers.
You can make a cameo.
I'll make a cameo because I'll be preparing for that live stream, so I'll hop on. Well, I'll just say hi. I'll let Jack have his chance to boo me. If he doesn't boo me,
that's his loss.
Then it tells me that he's officially just lost the battle.
Oh man, do we give up on Tevin Jenkins because of his injuries? You don't give up on him. Like, he's on a rookie contract. Like, you're gonna keep him through next year, I think, unless there's a good trade out there. But the question is an extension at any point even possible now? The answer to that might be no. Like, I think you probably play these next 2 years out, and then, if you can get him back on a 1-year deal at a time, sure. But yeah, hopefully he makes it happen. Oh, there's Sealand with a $10 super chat. Oh, what was the guy's name who sent in the 20 after we signed off the other night? I can pull it up real quick.
Read this first timer.
Read this super chat.
I haven't seen him in the chat. I know that for a fact.
I know. I just want to
But this is what Sealand did say. If Tyson is playing most of the game, lighting shit up, there will be some booms. Okay.
Let's go.
I like that.
Let's go.
I like that,
Sealand. We will. We'll hold you to it.
Sealand, how many dogs do you have?
Yeah.
I see 3 in that photo. Are they all yours?
Yeah. He's looking like a dog guy.
Looks like nice dogs,
Codilla too. Gaming, by the way. Okay, so Codilla, if you ever watch this, or if you're in the chat, he said bear down. Sent in a 20 right as we signed off on our post-game show. Like, the stream had already died, so I was like, oh, crap. And it was the first time super chatter, so yes. I owe 5 jumping jacks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other night we were doing 5 jumping jacks for first-time super chatter, so wanted to honor that. Shout out Codilla. He'll also get a Fields boot sticker, which, Sealand, we're auctioning the Fields boot off this Saturday against the Bills, so you're not going to want to miss that. You're not going to want to miss that. All right, you good here?
I'm sorry, Sealand.
What? 2 passed away. He's 11. Dude, that's
it's the worst.
Pets are awesome, but as they get older, it almost sucks because you're at some point it's going to end.
I'll be honest. I had 2 dogs my entire childhood. One passed away in the fall. One's still kicking, and I don't know how the one that's still kicking is still kicking.
How old?
She's 12.
That's not crazy old.
Yeah,
depends on the type of dog.
It's a cockapoo, so they usually live to 15. That's their average.
Right.
But she is so old. Like she runs up and down once in our back fence, which is something she used to always do. She comes in, can barely breathe, shaking like crazy. Doesn't understand.
We lost our dog. We had 2, and they both died within a year of each other. And one of them, the decision was easier because we had to take her in because she clearly wasn't doing well, and she only had like 30% liver function. But it sucks at the end, dude.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that, Sealand. Losing pets it's tough. All right, I think Rolly and I are good here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Shout out to Sealand for dropping in a quick 60 at the end of the show. So we'll see. He said, by the way, someone say boot. Hell yeah. Hey, listen, we'll auction off the boot. One more boot, Fields boot down the hatch, hopefully, and it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. So we're out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Bear down as always. We'll see you next time.